attack the inside or outside shoulder. Paul Johnson says, you become a running back. You get vertical. And basically, you're a running back until he attacks you, and then you're pitching it out there. You just got to practice that over and over again. You can have a coach here responsible for this. You know, you might even bring a defensive coach over and run some of your stunts, okay? And then, you know, the quarterback coach can be telling the quarterback what to do. The running back coach can be telling the fullback what to do or whatever. But that's not that hard to read if you practice it every day. If you go into a game and you just haven't practiced it, then it's going to be real confusing to the quarterback. But they'll get used to it. We want to be slow in the mesh. We want to be slow in the mesh and then burst out of it. Okay, so if this guy comes down, we're going to be slow in the mesh, okay? And we're going to go here, and then it's quick pitch. Now, let me just say this. When you're first teaching this, you're probably better off to start teaching the outside veer first because it's a slower play. Now, think about this for a second, and I'm sorry for jumping all around. This stuff just comes to me.
I love it.
Okay? Think about this for a second. We don't ever want the quarterback's read to really be a 50-50 thing, okay? You say how much, you know, what's the worst case scenario? Well, 50-50 leads to confusion. So on the inside veer, we say react to the give, react to the keep, but be ready to pitch it. We want to be thinking in the back of our mind we're getting to the pitch. Maybe that's what you were thinking I was saying. Okay, on the outside veer, we're going to give it every time unless. We're going to give it. We're going to give it. We're going to give it. And a lot of times on the outside veer, even if you give it, the guy's going to get his 3.5, 4 yards if the fullback's running hard. Okay, so we're going to take that play away. They take it away. Then we're going to come out and pull it, okay, as maybe the second part of the outside veer that we do. But it's a slower read for the quarterback. And he knows he's given it a high percentage of the time.
Now on that okay, on your term, the terminology here. Okay, that's a if it's a 3-3 defense, it's a 0 mic. Okay, you can't run outside veer into that stack, can you?
Well,
unless you bring a tight end up and make him come out of the stack. Which
we don't really try to run outside veer to that,
okay,
unless we have a tight end. Okay.
Okay.
Most of the stuff we do with, and I can't remember what you said, whether you didn't have a tight end or you said maybe you had a guy you could put it.
I've been thinking.
Tell you
about
what,
that
it really
a lot.
gives you another dimension.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, and given you know, we can't throw it. Whoops, can't say this out loud, but we can't throw it. We can't catch it. Outside of that, we're really good. So yeah, we can use an offensive lineman.
But you'd be surprised how easy it is to throw to a tight end and play action.
Yeah, no, I agree. I understand.
Okay, and if you have a coach that can work with just the tight ends and teach them the knack of just finding the open area, and the quarterback, you know, having the knack of just, you know, riding it, come up and giving a little pop pass, it's really difficult to defend.
Right. So we'll have a tight end. Okay, but let's go back over here. You were gonna go through one at a time, right?
I can do anything you want.
No, I keep interrupting you, and
you're not
lose your train of thought. So
it's the thing. The thing is it always ends up going in a different direction because there's always something else. So we drew it up against a shade. That was a shade mic. So let's look at. Let's look at Eagle mic. Still have the exchange right there. Okay. Still have 2 safeties. So what's the call going to be? Arc or load? Arc. Okay. All right. So.
Does it take a long time to explain the load or arc thing since I missed that?
no.
Can you give
No, basically, what comes down is the slot's gonna, he has to know if it's a 7-man front or an 8-man front. So we just agreed to make there's a little more to it, but if there's two safeties, it's
Right.
7-man front.
Okay.
That's
And
arc.
he's blocking inside, arc, he's.
So he's on arc. He's got the corner.
Well, he's going to read.
Or
Now
he's
we
gonna
didn't get to all of the scenarios.
Okay.
So
That's what you drew the
we'll
last
get
time.
we'll get to the scenarios. I'll change it up here in a minute
Okay.
to an 8-man front.
Gotcha.
Look at a couple others.
Now, Mike, one of the things for you on this deal that's great about this, as Bob was talking about, so we can't get our scout team lined up on defense, right? You can stand over there and you can go 5, 1, 3, 5. They're lined up. They don't have to know why they're doing what they're doing. No, Mike. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So an example would be if I was calling everything off the script, okay, and we just got done running a play, our line would get right back up to the line, and I would just, let's say I'm calling this formation ace. I would just say ace, and I'd say 5, 1, 3, 5, Mike, okay? And I might say cover 55. Well, what's cover 55 does? These guys are in man-to-man. Now, instead of outside leverage, they're inside leverage. So I'm going to change this up a little bit for you. Okay, well, what's inside leverage mean? Well, it means that this is man-to-man with safety over the top. Okay, so our slot's looking like this. He's opening up. He knows it's arc, okay, because it's still a 7-man front. But now he's going to swim over the top of this guy and just run him off. This guy has to turn and run with him. So now he's going on his arc course, and he goes up to the safety now. Okay, so we can't be wrong. All right, now we've got a different front here. We got an eagle front. So how's that going to work? Well, we've got a base rule right here. So he's going to block here. And this is a little bit of zone stuff that we talked about last week. He's stepping here. If there's no knee in the hole, he's getting vertical here, and he's stepping here. We call this red. A red block is a zone principle. These two guys got these two guys. Okay, but we also call it red bearcat. You might remember me saying that. Okay. All right, and what red bearcat means is we want 4 hands on that 3 technique. We want 2 hands on from the guard, and we want a hand from the tackle, and we want a hand from the center. And we're going to blast that guy. Our cardinal rule is don't go up to the linebacker unless that guy gets blocked. Okay, because we're going to knock that guy into the linebacker. This guy cannot be right. He's going to have a miserable day. Okay, here's the other part of that is, this is our dive read. That's who our quarterback's reading. This is our aiming point inside leg of the guard, but our dive read's here, but our fullback's reading this. So if the 3 technique comes up the field, then he's breaking it back here. If the 3 technique slants down inside, then he's breaking it out here. So the 3 technique, he's getting triple team, and the running back's running the opposite of him. He can't be right.
See, honestly, I think what Bob said earlier, and I think we need to know this, is we can't let people say, okay, we're going to play you in a 4-4 defense and 2 3s, and you don't have inside veer all night long. I like his way of doing it better than anybody I've seen.
I love it when
because the
people get in a
fullback,
4-4.
right? See, because now the fullback is actually reading what the 3 does. He can't make the move till he gets to the mesh point, but he can make that cutback. And that's big.
We used to have a drill. I don't know if we ran it recently, but I would suggest running it. Is have a bounce drill. Maybe the running backs are in an individual drill, and they're running this course right here, and you just have somebody, coach or player, hand the ball off to them, and have a guy standing here, and the coach is giving them direct come up the field, slant down inside. He's got to bounce it off the back of the guard and make his cut, okay? Or you can put a dummy there, somebody holding a dummy and bounce it off of that.
Okay, you're assuming that he's going to run into the guard?
You just bounce it off of him.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's tight. You know, you don't. If you tell him don't run into the guard, then basically what's going to happen is he's going to start making these cuts here, and everybody on the defense can adjust to that. It screws up the whole read. So we got to get it into the line of scrimmage. The other point we talked about last week, this is huge. We want this to be 6 feet from the back heels of the quarterback. His hand has to be 6 feet. We found that if you get any deeper than that, the timing gets thrown off. Now, I don't know what other coaches are going to tell you, but the timing opens up a lot quicker and easier that way. Okay, we're pivot crossover in here. Okay, and we're lead stepping and running here.
So pivot crossover is just what it sounds like. You show them pivot crossover.
Okay, I'm not going to really show you.
No.
But, okay, if we were trying to cut this guy off, okay, a lot of people lead step. Okay, so you lead step, you get here. If he's slanting away from you, you almost have to clip him, and I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore. I don't think they'll let you clip him anymore. Okay, so we pivot crossover, and it's all one move. It's pivot and crossover. You get a whole man further that way. Now, you'd be throwing your weight out over your shoulders. I'm not getting down on the ground. It'd take me 20 minutes to get back up. But the reason is we can get a lot further in one movement by pivot crossover. And we only do that against the down man.
And you go straight to a scramble.
We go straight to a scramble.
You're cutting him. I mean,
We're trying to get up in his
crotch.
Yeah. Okay.
We're Christians, not wimps. Let's go.
Okay. Okay. But anyway, so that's it. Now, your splits will keep this guy from being a factor. Now, if we did a tight split play like we were talking about before, we would have to have a tight end in there, because if you tighten these guys down right here, he could theoretically catch you from behind. Okay, but when you have 7 feet worth of splits, that's too far for anyone to go. Okay? So that's a version of man-to-man. And if this guy doesn't follow that guy, first of all, if they got a corner that's playing man-to-man, chances are he's one of the better athletes on the team. You've eliminated him just by running. You could have a 5', or a 5'3", 40 guy running this good corner off. You know, we've had our pitchback, you know, I said this last time, running down the field with a football, okay, right behind the corner, who doesn't even know he's behind him because he's following that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and if they don't follow him, we're throwing play action pass to them. And even if we don't complete it, if your guys are terrible and they don't complete it, they have to respect it.
So if he doesn't follow and turns, the H-back on his arc is reading him, so he's going to end up taking the corner if the guy doesn't go with the receiver. Is that?
No.
No?
No. If he stays there, okay, that play's probably going to be screwed.
Okay.
Okay,
so he's still going to.
But what we'll do is we'll throw play action, or we can throw a halfback pass. Okay, so if they start getting a halfback pass and counters, those are all part of our main. It's not trick plays to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I like to call the fourth phase of our option. Okay, if they're going to jack with us, we're going to jack with them. Okay, so you got to have guys that are watching. That's what I like about the offense. You know, when I first started, I didn't really know much about offense. I always called defense, but it was like a grab bag thing. Oh, I think I'll try this play. That looks like a good player. I'll try this. Well, this offense, once you get to know it, if they take something away, there's always something else open. Okay, so you can always make adjustments. Yeah. So that's why I really like it. It's not a guessing game. We're going to take what the defense gives us. If the defense is saying, you know, throw the ball, then we're going to throw it.
One of the things I'd like to do somewhere in April or May or something, June, July, whatever, is have you talk about what your upstairs guys look for. Who's watching what?
You know, I'm terrible at that because
you're just seeing it anyway.
What my upstairs guys always want to tell me is what play to run. They're not looking at anything. They don't pay attention. So I end up taking the headphones off. And to be honest with you,
that's my next
it's
step.
frustrating.
Yeah.
But that's not the way you want to coach. If everybody would get on the same page, and you can give them specific things to look at. I don't know how many guys you can fit in a press box generally.
2 or 3.
But if you know, we had our defense and offense split up for a while, and the defensive guys refused to learn the offensive stuff. So when they were in the press box, they weren't any bit of a help to us, okay? And then the offensive guys, you know, maybe it's let's just say for argument, it's the quarterback coach. He's watching his quarterback instead of watching
The linebacker.
And it always gets reduced to that. And then they're saying, run this play, run that play. Well, you know, when you run the offense, it's, at least for me, it's a feel. I mean, you can get in a rhythm and a feel for what you're doing. If you got a guy in your ear telling you something completely different from what you're thinking. So you know, I've got a pretty good offensive line coach. I coach offensive line. I like having him up there because offensive line coaches generally watch what a lot of different people are doing, and they can give you some good information. Okay, but generally the skilled coaches, I'm not knocking skilled coaches, but they're not looking at what's going on. They're looking at their guy, trying to find ways to get him the ball. And I'm not trying to find ways to get anybody the ball. I want to take what the defense gives me. Now, the downside of that is you might have a really good running back, and the defense can dictate sometimes he's only going to get it 3 times tonight. So you better be ready to do some other things. So I think that's the reason why a lot of teams in college got away from running this type of offense, is because, you know, they're recruiting a tailback and someone's saying, well, we're not going to let him have the ball. And so tailbacks don't want to go there anymore. So, you know, but we have who we have. And if you have unselfish players and you're trying to teach, you know, team concept, they usually buy into it and they'll do what you tell them. But, you know, I think everybody nowadays is a little more self-centered than maybe the old days. But the nature of your team would seem to suggest that you'd have unselfish guys.
Would seem, but
I think you were right the first time.
So anyway, so that was if they have outside leverage out here with the receiver, he's going to crack. If they have inside leverage, he's going to run them off. Okay. If the guy, let's say the slot's here. Okay. If the guy bails, then we're going to stock block him. So if he runs him off or he stocks blocks him, he's arcing on the safety. Okay? Now if we get an 8-man front when he's loading, generally it's a no mic. You know, you're going to load sometimes versus a 3-3, depending on what's happening out there. So there's always an exception to the rule. But it starts with arc and load, and then the slot reads if he's arcing. The receiver is basically doing what the defender tells him to do. I'm going to play you man-to-man, so I'm going to run you off. I'm going to play outside leverage and try to wall you off, so I'm going to break to the safety. Okay? I'm going to bail and play cover 3, so I'm going to stalk.
So he's reading the receiver's block, or what the receiver's doing dictates where he's going.
Where the slot's going.
Where the slot's going. Okay.
Yeah. If he does anything with the corner, then
he's
the
a
slot's
free
going to the
safety.
safety.
Okay.
On an arc block. Okay. Now, I'm just going to show you this because it's somewhat relative. Let's say we had a tight end in there and we were going against a 4-4. Okay? And let's say there was a guy out here who we can come up with all kinds of formations. Okay. If I had an arc block by my tight end, okay, we would want him to get here, and he's not allowed to go up and block the corner, okay, until he's even with it. Because what happens is, if he gets anxious and breaks it off here, the corner's gonna come up outside and constrict the play from in the backfield. Okay? So we wanna get even with them. So those same principles apply to these guys. When they go up to block, okay, this safety, he's starting to arc. The safety might start to drop down or be a support guy. Okay, he could be. Or you could have the corner out here. But we don't want to come up until we're even with it, and then we'll block him. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we're going after the corner, theoretically, there's two things we can do. So let's say the corner's got outside leverage. Okay, I think I told you the first thing is, let's knock him into the cheap seats. That's what I said. Okay, but if you do that, you want to have a wide split by this guy. Okay, because you want him out, removed from the play. But if your split is in a little tighter, and you might need to make it tighter in order to keep the safety from running past this guy, okay, then I would get even with him and then come up here, and then we try to get outside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you want to try to force him up the top. If they want, then you panic.
So if you don't like having the wide splits with your receiver, just give him a 10-foot split here. Okay, I mean 10-yard split. Okay, it gives this guy a little more access to that guy, allows you to get outside. Okay, it gives him a better chance of getting the safety. So we never say we're always going to line up this way or that way. We're looking at how the defense lines their guys up and how we can get the biggest advantage. That's how we decide what formations. It's how we decide how we're going to line our formations up that we have. Does that make sense?
So you give I mean, is that a game adjustment where you're making it a 10-yard split, or is that?
It could be, but I'd like to say it's a weekly adjustment. Like when we're watching film, you know, what's the best way to take care of that guy? Do we want to blast him and knock him out of bounds, or do we want to get outside of him? A lot of it has to do with how good of an athlete he is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know, if he's a stud, then I think the best thing to do is just go straight after him and knock him to the sideline, and just get him split out, remove him from the play. If he's a guy that's sort of a marginal athlete, then we want to get speed outside of him, and we'll force him to kind of hesitate here by, you know, it freezes these guys. When you take this flat path, it freezes these guys. They don't quite know how to handle where they're going. And they'll slow down, and then you get on them, and then your back can make a cut off that block.
Plus, you can throw the pop pass over his head if it's a 10-yard split,
Mm-hmm.
if you had to.
And we'll say, like, okay, if teams, you know, the way to stop the option is get your secondary involved in stopping the run. Okay, if they're involved in stopping the run, that's where our play action passes are going. That's how we decide. We don't just say, oh, let's run the pop pass. You can come up with any kind of combination of passes to affect these guys out here when they start getting nosy. So, and I like to do that. Like if I'm running a scout team against the defense, I like to get in the offensive mentality that we try to run and see if our defensive guys are actually playing their responsibility. You know, you got to have a force, you got to have a cutback guy, and you got to have a play pass player on to both sides when you're playing defense. And if any of those three things aren't there, then let's run something or throw something that affects that guy. So, you know, when you're trying to see if your defenders are doing what they're supposed to, you know, yeah, we'll throw a halfback pass against them to see if they're staying honest, or we'll, you know, do something, throw a pop pass or something. So anyway, so again, I got off track. But that's kind of how our perimeter is blocked. Is that was the whole point of all that?
Sure.
Not so much the defensive front, but how the perimeter is blocked. Okay, so you got arc. You start with arc and load. Okay, and then from there, if it's arc, the receiver is going to show the slot what the next step is when the slot opens up to that. So, can I show you one other thing that's off track?
Sure. I'm not sure what's on track. See, you can even use this, even if you stay in the spread.
Okay, let's say you guys don't like reading the exchange. Okay, so you have this right here. And let's say they want to play cover 2 against you. Okay, so what we started doing is we had automatic pass, or we called it uncovered pass. And we could throw it any time except for if it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, we didn't want to do it, right? So short yards, you can figure out a rule, but what we tell our slots to do, and I think you kind of get in a terminology thing, but this means something completely different, is we'll say your alignment's 1 yard by 1 yard, but that's just the starting point. It's kind of like splits for offensive linemen. But we're going to tell them to get up there and unload, okay? And they can creep out here as far as they want to creep. If this guy stays right here, okay, we're going to throw our automatic pass. How do we know when we're going to throw it? We're going to throw it, okay, when this guy is at 10 o'clock, okay, or 2 o'clock over here. It could go either way, okay? So if he's at 2 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and we're going to run a right angle, okay? That's not a very good right angle. We're going to run a right angle. Okay, so what happens is the quarterback, we always tell him, look to the left and look to the right, and then look back to where your play has been called. Or look, you're going to look both ways and then go back to where you're reading the play. If our slot unloads and he's giving them a signal, we used to just put the hand on the hip right here like this. The quarterback can goose the center. No one else knows it's coming. We're just going to goose it and throw it to him. He's going to run at a right angle from that linebacker. So this linebacker has to run the hypotenuse of that triangle. He can't get there. It's further. And so he gets that right there. He sees the ball being snapped, and so he takes care of that guy. And you're out there running a bubble play without even having to call it. Do you see what I'm saying?
But he's not going laterally, he's going downfield at a right angle.
Well, he's going at a right angle first, and then when he catches it, I mean, the quarterback's literally just getting the snap and going right like that. So it's not a very far throw. And he's just running like crazy, okay? And the ball goes out here, and then he just gets what he can get. We tell our linemen, if you have presence of mind, to cut block so you can get their hands down, okay? And if you work on that all the time starting in the summer, you can actually make that play a part of your offense, especially against 4-3 teams, because they want to keep these linebackers in the box and screw with you. So what will end up happening is they'll either bring these safeties up, okay? They'll cheat these safeties up here so that they're more like maybe 7 yards off the ball, and then that sets up this pass right here, which is a play action off of inside veer. Okay, and that's our main play action. Kill teams with that. Okay, but the other thing that they do, if they don't bring the safeties up, okay, if they don't bring them up, then they'll start walking this guy out. Now, you've split up their exchange and it's an easy read. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So So you got that going for you. So it's just a way to, you know, if you teach them how to unload, first of all, these slots love to do that because they know they got a chance to get the ball. So they're gonna try to do it all the time. The pass is not a hard pass because we're talking about maybe from here to that locker away. You're just going like that. If you got a fast kid right there, he doesn't have to be, you know, a big stout kid or anything. He can just be a fast kid that can run, you know, comparatively speaking. And now you're kind of telling them this is how you better line up, or we're going to take advantage of you. So.
You must get a lot more cover two than we get. We get almost nothing but cover three, and it's either 4-2-5 stuff or some form of that.
Not very many teams.
I can't tell you a single team that played cover two against us this year.
Not very many teams are going to play cover two to this formation right here. Okay? Some will. Some will. But not very many. Now the problem is, if your guys don't understand trail blocking, you're out of luck if they play cover two.
Sure.
Okay? So you can be playing cover three teams or whatever.
But what do you do if it is cover three, umbrella with two outside safeties, two outside, you know, backers, whatever you want to call them?
Like a 4-3?
Yeah, like a 4-4 with 3 deep. Yeah.
Like, let's say we're doing this here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Like that?
Yeah, but okay, that's fine. That's exactly right.
Okay. Okay, so what do you do to that? First of all, I'm glad you brought that up because that was the next point. Okay, so we got a red Bearcat here. We talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's a red block. We're getting 4 hands on the 3 technique. Now, okay, it's a 8-man front, so we're load blocking. Okay, there's our dive read, there's our pitch read. This is who the fullback's reading, okay, right here. Okay, this guy's gonna bail, so we're blocking him. He's in the box, so we don't really care about him. But if we wanted to, we can do a load check, okay, which if we know that no Mike's getting blocked, then we'll try to disrupt the safeties running the alley, okay? Now, what teams do, okay, not in this defense, but a lot of times when they see this motion, they'll drop their safety down, try to, you know, beat you to the point of where the run support is.
Which
So,
safety, the free or the?
Well, this safety here, but this is not the right defense to show you that, but if they had 2 safeties, they'd drop the safety down and have an extra guy in there.
Sometimes, like, we've done it where if that guy goes in motion a lot, when he goes, the backside backer, we just send him. Is there a concern
Yeah, you
with
can
that?
do